Hey guys, um, I got a question for you. With Between Dark and Dawn being yesterday's mid-season finale for the final season, and pretty much word going around that the second half will begin in little less over a month, August 3rd, from what I understand. The question, though, I do have is it right? Or is it the smartest decision, or is it the right decision to bring somebody in from the outside to pen an episode, write the script, if you will? The reason I ask that is despite the fact that a majority of people enjoyed Between Dark and Dawn, the one thing that a lot of people noticed about it was sort of the continuity inconsistencies, if you will. Um, and basically how some things just seemed out of place. Things just seemed to be kind of different, if you will. Now, the writer for this episode was Gail Simone. Gail Simone is mostly known for penning comic books, mostly DC, some IDWs, some Image, Marvel, and she has worked on a few shows, one of the more notable ones being Batman the Brave and the Bold, which was written for more comedic reasonings, as well as she's penned a few Justice League Unlimited episodes, like the Double Date one. But with all that said, was Gail Simone the right choice to do MLP episode? Well, she's never had experience doing it in the past. Well, there's an old saying. You don't know what you can do until you try it. And for Gail Simone, this is a unique experience for her because it gives her the opportunity to kind of see if she can pen a story that everybody can enjoy, but is not too mature, not too over the top, but just the right amount of uniqueness and I guess you could say repeatability, or in the case of comics, rereadability that you'd be looking for. And Between Dark and Dawn does provide the replayability, if you will, or the repeatability that fans are looking for. But, there are still fans that look at the flaws, like, Thespio and Voice, kind of acknowledge the fact that one of the lines that Gail writes for the sisters is the fact that they're excited that ever since what went down with Sombra's return, that all of a sudden they've had this sudden urge to now, go out and help other creatures and ponies more than just sitting back and, not doing anything. And Thespio Will pointed out that, you saying that line basically has you acknowledge that you're terrible ponies for not going out and doing what you did. I mean, like I said in my look back at the first half yesterday in my video, I acknowledged how I liked Rainbow Dash being written, and Gail Simone obviously took some notes and applied some of those notes in research, if you will, notes and research into the episode, because Rainbow, just like at the beginning of the season, in the beginning of the end, or the end of the beginning, whatever it's called. I think it's beginning of the end. I gotta look again. But basically, in the premiere, Rainbow basically calls out the sisters when Twilight says, "Well, what are we supposed to do without their help?" And Rainbow's like, "Twilight, when you think about it, they've never really helped. They've never really helped." So for Gail to kind of, from a continuity standpoint, add that back in, but have Rainbow do it twice in a sense, it does, in a sense, paint the Royal Sisters in a bad picture. I mean, Rainbow's saying basically that after all the times they actually that basically out of all the times they've actually needed them, and all of a sudden they show up for something that the main 7 or main 6, because Spike got caught up and was nearly devoured, if you will, that they had well in hand, and all of a sudden here come the Royal Sisters to take their thunder. I mean, it's like, what's the point, basically? It's like, what's the point of you now all of a sudden having this urge? And you could tell that, yeah, Gail did write some lines in there that felt a little inconsistent, but the one thing obviously that she's known to do is expand on the characters, even if she's writing for something for the first time. The thing is, when you expand on a character, you get to know that character a little bit better. And I think Gail's idea was, and I'm guessing Gail's idea was, look, we've never seen the Royal Sisters outside of the Royal Palace. You've never had them go, be nothing more than just royalty or be treated like royalty. So why not have them, kind of put that aside and just be sisters? So I'm not saying that Gail Simone wasn't a good choice. Far from it. I'm not saying that Gail Simone, like I said, wasn't a good choice. It's just checking something there. Far from it, but yeah, the question is it a good idea to bring in someone that is kind of an outsider and mostly known for writing other things like comic books for Marvel, DC, IDW, and writing mostly scripts for animated programming based on said comic books, like Justice League Unlimited, Batman the Brave and the Bold, and many others. Is it a good idea to do that? And again, depending on what they learn, what information they get, what notes they're able to take and research they're able to do, then yeah, they're a good choice, especially if their pedigree or their I guess I would say pedigree, their background, proves to be successful and proves to be worth utilizing in your property. Then I would say, yeah, Gail Simone was a good choice to bring in. But again, there are those that question it because of some of the continuity flops. With Twilight, they look at Twilight and everything that Twilight's gone through. Twilight should be more acknowledgeable of, yeah, we do need help with this swanifying ceremony that's supposed to go on. And she doesn't act like it. She acts like, oh, the Royal Sisters do everything themselves. We can do it ourselves too. We don't need help. It isn't until you have a character that we have not seen since what? Season 2, 3, if you will, coming out and finally explaining to them, yeah, you think the Royal Sisters do this all by themselves? They don't. They actually have help in doing it. So yeah, for Twilight to kind of forget about that, yeah, some people would look at that as being inconsistent, continuity inconsistency. I'll put it that way. Just pause for a moment because I was thinking about what I was going to say. But yeah, they look at it as continuity inconsistency. But besides that, the overall feeling for Between Dark and Dawn, which was written by Gail Simone, is mostly positive. I mean, Dr. Wolf basically said it was kind of weird, but it was a good kind of weird. It's like, where did this come from? Kind of deal. But again, the question is it a good idea to bring someone in from the outside that's never written for something that's been going on for quite some time? I mean, yes, they may watch it, they may take notes on it just in case, but is it a good idea to bring them in? That's up for debate. Some would say some would probably say that it's better to bring in somebody that writes for the IDW My Little Pony comics in to write for the episode or write for the animated portion instead of someone that has never touched the series at all until this season. So, again, it's up for debate, but if the pedigree, if the background, if the resume, the reputation proves that they're good at what they do, even if they're just doing it for one time and they've never touched the property until that time, then I say, yeah, it's a good idea to bring them in because, one, you give your established writers and editors, and you give your established story writers, script writers, kind of a break, and you basically let someone fresh and new come in and give sort of a fresh coat of paint to not just the series, but to characters that some would say desperately have been needing it. And obviously Between Dark and Dawn does that for Celestia and Luna. Now, does Gail, like I said earlier, did she take notes and research and all that before she did this episode? Absolutely. I mean, we have basically somewhat a continuation of this friction between the sisters before they kind of talk it out and realize, look, it's not easy being one sister to the other because, one always seems to be more dominant instead of basically being equals, sharing ideas and all that. But, again, them having that argument, that friction in the episode, yeah, that's Gail. That's obviously Gail taking notes from what she saw with the 200th episode, what she saw with Royal Problem. So she does take notes and she does do research. I mean, at the beginning, when the main seven are going up against this giant tortoise that obviously is part of Fluttershy's sanctuary, pet sanctuary, if you will, or animal sanctuary, when this tortoise grabs a tree with its tongue and Spike gets caught up in that, or caught up along with that, Rarity is, as I've mentioned before, is the only one to run out of the group in concern. She says her spiky wikey line, but like I said, she runs out of concern, stands up on her two hind legs, puts her two hoofs to her head, and she's concerned. And she's the only one out of the group to do that. So obviously Gail has done research on the whole Spike and Rarity / Sparity relationship or connection between the two characters. Because after Spike is rescued and brought back to the ground by Twilight, who's the one that goes up to him to help clean the gunk off him? Rarity. So, obviously Gail did take notes and did do some research, and that's a good thing because even though the episode may feel weird, a little different, and all that in certain areas, there is still somewhat of a continuity, consistency, along with, as some people pointed out, like Despio and Voice, some of the continuity inconsistency. So, again, though, the question is it a good idea to bring someone like a Gail Simone, who's pretty much like an outsider to the show, in to write an episode when they have no experience doing so for a franchise like My Little Pony? Again, it's up for debate. But if they are willing to take notes, do research, and allow mostly the creative staff, the writers, the established writers, a chance to kind of cool off, take a break, and come in and kind of give the show a fresh coat of paint, kind of like a fresh coat of repaint, kind of a repainted fresh coat, if you will, whatever you want to call it, or however you want to look at it, then so be it. Because when you look at Between Dark and Dawn, like I said earlier, a lot of people feel that someone like Gail coming in and giving that kind of fresh coat of paint to a show like this and to characters like Celestia and Luna was well needed. Was much needed, I should say. Not well needed, but much needed in the long run. So, again, did Gail do a good job? Yeah, she did a good job in the end. Did she have some continuity inconsistencies? Yes. But did she have consistent continuity nods in there in moments? Yes. But in the end, is it a good idea, like I said, to bring in someone from the outside that's never had experience writing a story or a script for a franchise they've never really touched upon until now. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like, and yes, I did do this on the fly, unscripted, but let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like, and I'll talk to y'all later.